Mics are up. Camera's up.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the Sig Sauer Studios. On the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
And the enemies of freedom are alive and well, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be talking about a few of them today. Welcome in. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now here in the Sig Sauer Studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today in front of this Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. And, of course, it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, brother?
I'm not too bad. Here we are, Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. Are you actually having tacos today?
No, not really. I had pork left over from tacos, but the tortillas weren't good. So
the tortillas aren't good. It's no good.
Well,
I'm a corn tortilla guy here. I don't do the flour stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I do flour homemade tortillas, and they just kind of went stale. So I just ate carnivore style.
If they're no good, they're no good. There's nothing you can do about that. Greg, we're up on all social media platforms today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll just tell you now, Facebook is live and running. If you want to check us out on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio, please do so. Greg, I'll let you take it from there, and then we'll go to our guest on the Salem Radio Network studio line, Lee the Gunwriter Williams.
I'm sure if you want to watch this show, just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over on YouTube and Rumble. On X, it's at AAR Mark. You want to join our live chat, download the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Thank you, Greg. No one has beaten the socks off the ATF any more than Lee the Gunwriter Williams that I can think of. Greg, have you seen anyone take the gloves off on the ATF as relentlessly as Lee has done?
No, of course not.
He has done remarkable, true investigative journalism work, ladies and gentlemen, considering the ATF. And we're going to stay on this because there's more. It is unbelievable, Lee, what you are finding out. Lee, the Gunwriter Williams, welcome to the show, brother. How are you, man?
Hey, man, I'm really good. The story is just exploding, especially on Twitter. I'm very, very happy about it. It's one that really bugged me. We're going through his entire case. We're pulling out the parts that the ATF used to get him a 20-year sentence. Now, keep in mind, they had a bad snitch. And the snitch said, oh, Tate is selling machine guns and everything. They kicked down his door. They did a warrant. They did not find anything illegal. So they had to call in their master.
All right, do me a favor for the benefit of listeners who are new, because we do have new listeners to the program. Give us a quick update, and then we'll continue, because this has been an ongoing story we've been following with Lee for the last several weeks, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, we took a hard look at they charged him with 2 RPGs, rocket-propelled grenade launchers.
Which are really
which
cool,
they said were live. Yeah, one is marked inert, the other one is training and dummy. They were probably both built as training aids for Western armies. There's no Cyrillic on them anywhere. You look at a Russian RPG, you've got Cyrillic lettering on it. One is marked inert, the other one's training aid dummy. Okay, TAD, training aid device, is the serial number. They had holes drilled in the pipes, so you can't run. You can run a rocket in there, but it'll blow your head off. So they brought in their guys, Jeffrey Bodell, ATF Firearms Enforcement Officer, who lies on the stand. And he turned, I remember this guy that turned a Damiak's Toy Sten into a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
So he got one of these guns to fire off a 7.62 by 39 millimeter rifle cartridge by using a subcaliber training device, which in and of itself is a standalone rifle.
All right, now it's important to point out. Let me point this out, ladies and gentlemen, and Lee, because what they did was they essentially rebuilt these replicas. Now, you link to the video that shows them firing, get this, a 7.62 round out of an inert RPG tube. So I want to make that clear, and you can see the video. Lee links to it. And Lee, let's give people, you can go to armedamericannews.com, and it's the lead story up there, the most recent story that you have up. Ladies and gentlemen, you also can link to the RPG-7 replica for $395 over at gunbroker.com, and I'm on the site right now, and I'm looking at it. And it's a full-size replica of an RPG. No, I have replica guns. I have replica guns hanging up in my bar, man cave, gun room, whatever you want to call it, okay? I just picked up a new goat gun RPG that's about 7 or 8 inches long. I was afraid to show it on camera today for fear the ATF might come banging on my door while we're on air, because somehow they'll find a way to prove that I could convert that to an actual RPG. It's a joke what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, but Lee links to all of this so you can go deeper into this on your own simply by reading the story over there. But it is important to point out that what they did was they essentially gutted this thing and rebuilt it so that it could fire. And I guess, Lee, you could do that with anything, couldn't you?
You know, I was talking to Tate. Yes, you could. And he said, you know, this is like a piece of rusty pipe would set this off. This launcher, this missile that they load in, is in of itself a weapon that's capable of firing that 7.62 by 39 round on its own. The launcher that they bring in, the projectile, can fire rounds in and of itself. That's the way it's made. So all it needs is a nice little hole to fit in, and they did it. And this guy, they lie and oath. They don't care about misconduct. I've yet to find a legitimate charge that Tate's facing, and he's looking at about 17 more years, brother.
I'm going to make this even more simpler than I just did. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a piece of pipe laying around your home, I would imagine now that the ATF could say you're in possession of a pipe bomb, because you could go somewhere and get all the components to build that pipe bomb. Even though you don't have any of those components on your property now, that's the analogy that we're using here, because that's what they did to this man. Correct me if I'm wrong. He did not have any component anywhere near him that could have been used with tremendous amount of work to literally gut this thing, rebuild this replica into an actual RPG. Did he? Is my analogy,
No,
does my
didn't.
analogy stand?
Stands 100%. I mean, this guy did not consider these weapons. They were in his living room of his apartment. He has had friends over, and they've had a couple of beers. They take photos of them holding it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got tons of really cool replica guns that hang up. I've got one here in the studio. I've got some rifles that are really cool that hang up in my bar. I've got them going all the way back to Revolutionary War days. Should I be worried? Should I take those down?
I don't know.
I mean,
the way the ATF has been lately, probably not a bad idea.
They
brother.
would probably call my Winchester 1894 replica model a machine gun if they could. I don't know that they could ever convert that into it, but they could. I guess they could say they could convert it, and therefore it could be this. But we're talking 17 years.
There's about a 3/4 inch hole right where your face goes when you fire an RPG, cut right into the tube. If you fired a live rocket with this, it would take your head off.
Tell me why that hole is there.
Jokes.
Tell me why it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm asking seriously. They put it there because it's an inert replica, precisely for that reason, so it couldn't be converted.
Exactly. There's no way you could ever strengthen that metal well enough to shoot a live rocket. But here's the last point I want to make. Where the hell you get live rockets in this country?
Well,
you don't.
You don't, I guess. That's why they drill a hole through the nose of the rocket and fire a 7.62 round through it on the video to make it look, because when you look at the video, if you don't know the backstory, you think he's going to fire an RPG at a target 25 yards away in a shooting range, in an indoor range. Like, what's this guy doing? Oh no, it's not. It's just built around the gun, so make it look like an RPG, when in fact it's just a firing mechanism that they created to actually fire a 7.62 round through what, I don't know, was that his actual piece they were using?
Yeah, that was his RPG.
Okay.
I just think it's a lot easier to go buy an AK. I've got several.
I mean, and you can buy them legally. Wait, hold on. You can buy RPG replicas legally too, and you link to 7 or 8. I went to all of them. They're all really cool. And you can go over to the gunbroker.com offers. Yeah, gunbroker.com offers the inert RPG-2 rockets for $120, a non-firing RPG-7 replica for $395, which I have on the screen, an inert Russian RPG-2 rocket launcher package with rocket, firing pin, and hard case for $1,200. It's all inert, ladies and gentlemen. It can't be fired. And an RPG-7 heat rocket at around $229. All of this stuff is legal to buy as replica because it's inert. And I'm sure we've all seen the inert grenades. We've all seen the inert rounds. We've seen them. We've bought them. Many of us have them. Well, I guess now if the ATF has it out for you, brother, they got it out for you, and you could be looking at 20 years. Now, I thought to myself, I might want to buy this, and I got to thinking, maybe not. I don't know that I'm willing to risk 20 years of my life because I bought something inert from gunbroker.com. Lee, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation, and we'll move on to we got about 5 or 6 things we want to cover with you. Not sure we'll get to all of it. We'll do the best we can. Back right after the break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. You should do that. patriotmobile.com/AAR. And I have a Patriot Mobile activated phone here. I have two of them, actually. And you can do the same thing. It's real simple. patriotmobile.com/AAR. Guys, support the businesses that support you and support the shows that you like and the shows that you listen to. They're out there. They're great companies. You should support every single one of them. In just a little bit in the next break, I'm going to give you a one-shot opportunity, and I literally mean that, because tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, it gets cut off, but there's a raffle going on over there. You can buy tickets for Daniel Defense for the pistol package, and I'll tell you how to do that when we come back from the next break. But golly, Armed American Radio listeners have won these things before, and they're quite cool. So I'll tell you how to do that when we come back. Make sure to visit all of our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Start stacking some ammo at ammosquared.com, ammosquared.com. I got my note today that my payment cleared. It's $15, and tomorrow I'll get my notice. You've got more ammo. It's a beautiful thing. Ammosquared.com. That is the coolest product. Make sure to check them out if you want to stack ammo and don't have room like me. Ammosquared.com. It's so simple and so user-friendly, and it's inexpensive, and you can just start stacking ammo like crazy. When you want it, they ship it to you. If you don't, stack it like I am until you want it, or if you don't want it and you want your money back, they'll deposit it for you right away, so it's like a 401k for your ammo. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome back, my brother. Did you want to put an exclamation point on that whole nonsense going on? I'm so appreciative of you staying on top of this, because our next goal is going to be to try to get this kid out.
Yeah, just when he was working in California in the Navy, he bought this when he was 19 years old. He's 38 now. When he flew home to the East Coast, he put them in his luggage, and with a note to the TSA, hey, these are, DWAT, they're not real.
The RPGs.
TSA never questioned it. Yeah.
Well, it's because they weren't worried because they were fake.
Yeah, they didn't care.
But ATF does. So
yeah,
I have to wonder. I have to wonder, why is the ATF doing this so relentlessly to this kid? What is it? Are they just in so deep at this point that they don't want to back out? Is the lie so deep?
They started out bad. They had a bad snitch who said that Tate was selling machine guns. They got a search warrant. They hit his doors, but everything they found was legal. So they told him, we're going to, you plead guilty to this, you'll be out in a year. He's like, no, I did nothing wrong. Everything I have was legal. We're talking about a kid who's ready to join the SEALs, right? He's looking at naval special warfare and becoming an officer. This could have hurt it. Any little problem with the ATF could have really hurt his career too. So he said, no, I did nothing wrong. They made an example out of him. He got 20 years. He almost got 30, okay? But he got 20.
All right.
20 years. He's on his third year.
Do we know if he ever got the advice from an attorney? Look, man, we know you're getting screwed, but it's best to take a plea, because if you go to trial and lose, you could be looking at 20 or 30 years. Was he put in that horrible predicament?
His attorneys were terrible, quite frankly. They actually told him that they were happy he was charged with the RPGs because they looked so ridiculous. It's such a weird claim that it would damage the ATF's credibility. Okay, if he hadn't been convicted of possession of these damn things, he would be out right now.
Well, I guess the question is this:
wasn't for the RPG.
They would look so stupid in front of who, right? A jury that doesn't know any better, a jury of people that don't get it, a jury of idiots, a jury of morons, a jury of people that have grown up watching ABC and NBC so we can CBS on MSDNC and CNN LOL. Those people who look at this, that are bombarded with gun grabber garbage every single day, that see this and think, well, it's the ATF. Certainly they know what they're talking about. That's
exactly it, my friend.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to tell you not to buy inert replica deals, because it's legal for you to do. You can go buy it. Okay, I'm inclined to do it just because, but at the same time, I don't know. We don't know what the impetus is here. We don't know what caused them to do this. Do we know what made them look at him in the first place?
They had a bad snitch, a snitch who was going to get 10 years off. He's going to get like 10 years off and some cash. I wrote about it. I'm sorry. I know he's going to get a bunch of cash. He made like $8,000 from the ATF.
Okay, but that, again, begs another question. How does a snitch get to me? If I am collecting these replicas, how does a snitch get to me? How, as another law-abiding person, what do I have to worry about? How does an ATF snitch find me? Because I'm buying replicas.
The guy just went to I think the guy just went to Tate's website, quite frankly.
So they're just randomly searching for people to screw.
Yeah.
I don't put that past the ATF at all.
I don't either.
But here's a guy that's got a ton of replica weapons. Let's investigate this. I don't know. The whole thing, there's something off about this whole thing. But I know, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, Lee's going to be the one following this stuff. But if you want to see these actual things, you can go to Armed American News, click on that column. You'll see it. It's right there in front of your face. And you can follow the links right there. I'm looking at them. They're pretty cool. I mean, these are life-size real replicas. I'd love to have one. I think they're cool. I mean, you talk about a great wall hanging. Yeah. But is a snitch going to come after me because I got a wall hanging? The ATF's going to knock my door down at night and then go home and rebuild it in their lobby or in their laboratory and then come back and say, arrest him. We converted it into a gun.
That's the big concern.
Oh, man. You know, it just never ends. That's why we have to put a stop to this. Hopefully we can get this kid out. For some reason, I have a good feeling about this kid getting out. I just do. All right, Montana. Now, I sent you this earlier. Fred Reel at AmmoLand today sent me this. And I gave it a read immediately, and I called him, and we talked about this briefly. This is a great story out of Montana. I'm going to have to reach out to the Montana Attorney General. I copied him on a tweet on this today on a post that I put out. So we'll bring him on to talk about this down the road, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see if we can wrap him up for Sunday. But Montana just gave gun owners a digital Second Amendment. Check this out, Lee. I'm going to read some of this, and then we'll talk about it. Montana just did something no other state has dared to do. On April 17, 2025, Governor Greg Gianforte signed the Montana Right to Compute Act, the MRTCA. You'll hear me refer to it as that. That is the Montana Right to Compute Act, cementing the right to own, use, and access computational tools as a constitutional liberty. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this gets a little deep, all right? But follow me here. I had to go through this a few times to wrap my head around it. On paper, it's a law about digital freedom. But read between the lines, and you'll realize this may be the most significant state-level pro-gun, pro-freedom victory in years. Because in today's world, the fight for the Second Amendment isn't just happening in courtrooms. It's happening in code, clouds, and 3D printers. Now, Lee, I'm going to stop there and be the first one to admit I'm not the guy to be talking about code, clouds, and 3D printers, okay? And maybe you are. I know people who live in that world. But I pay people who live in that world to help me with things about code, clouds, and 3D printers. I just had to do that with some malicious attacks that we sustained here on our websites. When we come back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go a little deeper into this because it becomes really clear to you what it is Montana did. I'd like to believe they knew what they were doing looking forward, but I'm not sure. This is fascinating stuff, and no doubt is going to change life. And, well, I'll wait till we come back from the break. But this is something you need to push for in your state. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues. When we come back, we'll be talking about the Montana Right to Compute Act and its potential future implications for all of us. We'll be right back. Back at you guys.
Daniel Defense firearms are guaranteed for life, trusted worldwide, and designed, engineered, and manufactured right here in America. Daniel Defense, freedom, passion, precision.
Yeah, it's a great segue here because I knew that Daniel Defense rejoin was coming in, but you have till today at 11:59 p.m. That's right there at about midnight, ladies and gentlemen, to enter to win the Daniel Defense Limited Executive Carry Raffle. And it benefits the Double D Foundation, which is bringing up the youth shooting sports. You've heard me talk about it for a couple years. This package includes a limited series Daniel Defense H9AC 9mm with a 15-round mag, MSP anodized grip, custom limited series laser engraving, and a Trigicon optic, all custom, limited edition Gators rig sunglasses, and custom Microtech Glycon knife, which is really cool. You'll see it on the picture if you go there. Victos leather backpack, Surefire flashlight, premium Kraken case, and an exclusive challenge coin. The entire MSRP is just under $3,000 at $29.77. The raffle ends today at 11:59 p.m. Tickets are $25 each, 5 for $100, which is what I grabbed, and 13 for $250. Every single entry supports the Double D Foundation's mission to advance freedom through shooting sports. And again, this raffle ends tonight at 11:59 p.m., April 22nd. So get your tickets before it's too late. And that's from Cindy Daniel in an email that I got from her today. So you too, ladies and gentlemen, can get in on this, and I would highly recommend that you do. You may very well win it. Armed American Radio listeners have won those Daniel Defense giveaways before. I'd love to find out that one of you took that beautiful package home. So make sure to check them out. And again, all of our partners, you can keep that new gun of yours clean with Barrel Buddies too, by the way. BarrelBuddy.com, BarrelBuddy.com. Make sure to check them out. Patented technology. Pitch the patch. Clean your guns the modern, new, easy way. 2 quick passes. Boom, right back in your bag or on your holster. Your gun is clean. You know it's ready to rock and roll. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, so let me continue on this Montana here briefly because this is an absolutely fascinating story. And I got to be honest with you, I had to kind of wrap my head around this a little bit because of the digital stuff about it. All right? Here's where it comes into play. On paper, it's a law about digital freedom. Pro-gun, pro-freedom victory. This could be the biggest pro-gun, pro-freedom victory in the states in years. Now, check this out. Freddie points out, Lee, as you read in the article, weaponizing technology, the new face of gun control. Gun controllers can't stop Americans from building legal firearms at home. We all know they've tried. So they find another route, choking off the tools, files, and the knowledge needed to do it. Alan Gottlieb has been involved in lawsuits with Defense Distributed, ladies and gentlemen. You remember that? The Jersey, out of Texas cases. We've talked about it over the years. Here's what DA Bragg has done in New York. Pressured 3D printer companies like Creality to install firmware that blocks printing gun parts and censors cloud-based CAD files in 3D printers. So they're censoring you. The ATF and DOJ have held closed-door meetings urging tech developers to implement software blocks, cloud file scans, and AI-based detection of gun-shaped files. A federal judge in New Jersey ruled that CAD files are functional, not expressive, meaning they don't qualify as free speech under the First Amendment. I'm pretty sure that was the defense case that Gottlieb was working on out of Texas as well from New Jersey. DHS admits to monitoring 3D printer purchases by Americans with the help of Amazon, eBay, and PayPal. What do these all have in common, folks? They target the digital tools, not just the firearms themselves. And Freddie at AmmoLand reminds us that Montana now flips the script. Montana's MRTCA, the Montana's Right to Compute Act, recognizes a simple but powerful truth. Computation is expression. Files are property. Code is liberty. Under the MRTCA, any restriction on a citizen's ability to use or share digital tools must pass strict scrutiny. That, folks, you've heard Gottlieb talk about, is the same rigorous legal test used to defend core constitutional rights like speech, religion, and, yes, your right to bear arms. That means, according to Freddie and AmmoLand, if the state or any state within or any city within Montana ever tries to ban CAD files, restrict 3D printing of firearms components, force firmware changes on printers, or censor gun-related code or forums, they'll need to prove it's absolutely necessary, narrowly tailored, and in pursuit of a compelling state interest. In short, it becomes almost impossible to justify. What they've done, folks, is They've quietly created what amounts to a digital Second Amendment without naming guns. They've laid the foundation for, one, protecting hobbyists who use 3D printers to legally build arms. Two, shield code-sharing platforms from activist prosecutors. And three, prevent tech companies from being deputized as gun control agents. We now have a blueprint to push back against digital disarmament. Lee, this is phenomenal stuff. It's a little deep, but there's a lot going on here, brother. What's your first thoughts on this?
Well, when you sent the link over, I read it and then had to read it again, and then I just stopped and I smiled. This is dramatic stuff, and you're going to get to the John Lott from Defense Distributed quote, which I always love, where he says 3D printers mean an end to any gun control, and he's absolutely right. You know, we're not the type. The gun world is not the type that thinks about stuff like this. We're out enjoying our sporting arms and shooting and target shooting and hunting. It's time this puts us ahead of the game. This type of legislation would put us ahead of the game.
Yeah,
because you know damn well they're all trying to do it, or they're gonna. I will be sending this to my state reps here in Florida. And I know they're going to find some interest in it.
Yeah, you know, as Freddie points out, we remember how successful we were in building the Second Amendment sanctuaries across the country, ladies and gentlemen, over the Biden years. We had hundreds, if not thousands, of counties declare themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries, with sheriffs lining up to say, not here, not today, not in my county. We protect the Second Amendment. We saw this in state after state after state. And they remind us that just as we've seen and built those Second Amendment sanctuaries, it's time for digital Second Amendment sanctuary and places where files are not crimes, printers aren't licensed, and code is not censored. And I love this quote from Freddie. The founding fathers may not have foreseen the rise of 3D printed guns, but they certainly understood the danger of centralized control over the tools of liberty. Montana gets it, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of the country needs to get it too, and that's coming from Freddie. So what do? Lee, you do what you just did, and or you're going to, and you get this information to your state legislators, someone who you know, and one of them. Let me see if we can find in here one of the states. Yeah, because they're talking about
Florida.
If you live in a bright red state, okay, like Florida, for example, it doesn't matter what state you live in, frankly. Get this information to your legislators. Now, are you going to have any luck in a place like New York, California, Illinois, Maryland, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Washington, Oregon? No, you're not. Colorado? No. But you will in other states. And this is how that movement gets started, because eventually, I can promise you, the Supreme Court, Lee, is eventually going to look at this. I wouldn't be shocked to see if they look at Montana's, although I don't know how much pushback they'll get in Montana if it goes that far. But another state that picks it up, eventually this will wind up on the desk of the justices at the Supreme Court. And lo and behold, I have a feeling I know how they might rule in something like this, Lee. Montana's on the cutting edge here, brother.
They really are. And whoever put this together is a genius. I mean, I don't have a 3D printer. I have looked at them. But, man, wouldn't they be handy to make magazines, 30, 40, 50 rounders, whatever you want? And the guns that I've seen, the guns that first came off the 3D printers were pretty not robust. Right. But now we're seeing ARs, and I mean, gosh, what's next?
It's got the left terrified. They call for you to, if you live in Texas, Florida, Arizona, and every liberty-loving state, to get this out. Yeah, that's a great point. I wasn't knocking them for that. I want you to do it in all your states. Doesn't matter where you're at. Doesn't matter if you're in Jersey, New York. Get this to them. Let them know that this is what's on the horizon, that this is, in fact, the new frontier. But if you live in a place like Georgia or Texas or Florida or Tennessee or Arizona that loves your liberty, protects your liberty, these are the states that need to start making moves here. Are these liberty-loving states that we know we've probably got a chance to move a bill like the MRCTA from Montana. It's beautiful stuff. When we come back, we'll talk about in Iowa, what the Iowa governor just did, and we will juxtapose that against what, running out of time. We'll go to Iowa. We'll juxtapose it against when we come back. Don't go away.
Visit DanielDefense.com. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom. One more segment today with Lee the Gunwriter Williams to knock out your Tuesday's daily defense. You are in the 6 Hour Studios with me. I am filling your prescription for freedom today here in front of this Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. Of course, it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. Welcome back to the studio, and please go out of your way to visit all of our partners. I saw a number of you did last week. I get a weekly report from MyPillow. Keep using that AAR promo code, ladies and gentlemen. Say thank you to Mike Lindell for supporting your gun rights over all these years. He has been with us for well over 10, 12, maybe even been 13 years. I've lost count. It's been a long time. He supports your gun rights. He supports your liberties. He supports what we're talking about with an MRTCA Act, this kind of deal. So support him in return. He's had a tough couple years. I know a lot of us have, but if you can do it, you want the great products over there, just mypillow.com or mypillow.com/AAR, and you can use the AAR promo code with any deal you see over there and take advantage of that and support him for doing it. Make sure to check out all of our manufacturing partners, North American Arms, Sig Sauer, Car Arms, Crossbreed Holsters, the rest. Patriots Relief has your pain medication taken care of. I use that stuff on an elbow and a wrist every single day, and it works like a champ. Make sure to check it out. Promo code there is also AAR. And don't forget, budsgunshop.com. They have everything you need, and you need everything they have. If you don't need it, you want it. I bought some stuff over there yesterday, as I mentioned to a bunch of folks on the air yesterday. budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. Make sure to check them out. budsgunshop.com. They're our exclusive online retailer. And again, they're all available for you at armedamericanradio.com. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, what I was going to say before I got caught with that break is you had the Iowa governor just sign, and this is such a beautiful thing, what happened. We'll juxtapose it, as I was saying, against what happened in Minnesota, which is interesting because the CCR-KBA has a press release out today lauding Iowa Governor Reynolds for signing a bill to lower the carry age. 18 to 20-year-olds can now carry guns legally after he signs that bill. Florida can't do that. We'll go there in just a second. Minnesota sought cert in the case because the Second Amendment Foundation won the injunction that said no, 18 to 20-year-olds can carry. What did they do? Ellison sought cert, Supreme Court, just yesterday, Supreme Court said nope. No cert granted, denied it outright, leaving it stand in Minnesota. Would Florida be next? Yeah, there was a big movement in Florida to do that, which is now being reported is stalled now because of FSU. Lee, again, I was on Cam and Company this morning talking about the problems in Florida. Florida's got problems, and it's all being created by Republicans, of all people, in the state of Florida. What gives?
We have a supermajority in both the House and the Senate.
Can't get anything done.
They just can't get along, man. I mean, you just want to walk them out of there and say, hey, look, the more you guys fight, the better the other team does. And the other team just can sit back and let it all happen. And that is what is going on in Florida. I can't think of words I can use that the FCC won't frown on.
I know. I almost asked it just that way, too, in a bad way. When I was asking the question, I said, what gives? I almost asked it, what a different way. I get it. And BearingArms.com is reporting. And as I said, I was on Cam and Company today. You can check that out over at townhall.com. But we were talking about this, Cam and I, but this bill overturning age restrictions in Florida now stalled after FSU shooting. Yeah. So let me tell you what that means in Florida. That means it ain't going nowhere. And it always seems to be the Florida Senate because it moves through the House. This has moved through the House, but it's always the Florida Senate. And you've been around long enough to remember De La Portilla back in the late 90s and early 2000s was the guy causing all the problems as the Florida Pro Tem based out of Southeast Florida. So this has been a decades-old problem in the Sunshine State, formerly known as the Gunshine State. And it's sad to see. But will they cave to gun control? My guess is no. They're just not going to advance what they should be advancing and what the governor has asked them to advance to put on his desk. I don't think it's going to move now. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're 100% right. Neither will they give DeSantis what he wants, which is open carry. I mean, right now, I can carry concealed. I cannot carry openly legally in Florida.
Right. And I don't need a permit to do that.
No.
Well, after FSU, I have a gut feeling that it'll be and again, I could be wrong on this, but it could be 2 legislative sessions before there's any movement again. FSU is going to haunt these pro-gun rights bills because you've got wishy-washy, soft Republicans in high-ranking positions in the Florida legislature. I think it's going to haunt Florida on the pro-gun movement for another couple years, Lee. I don't think open carry stands a chance on the horizon at this point. Campus carry certainly does not. Ileana, what's-her-name, made it clear, we were talking about on the show yesterday, that she has, quote-unquote, no regrets as a Republican about voting against campus carry a few months ago back in February. So I just don't see any movement at this point anymore. I don't think DeSantis is going to see any of this by the end of his term. I hope to God I'm wrong. But I'm not feeling real good about it right now, brother.
I hope to God you're wrong, too, but I suspect you're not. And it's sad. Florida's such a beautiful state. It's so good. We're so red, except we've got a weird collection of folks who in the legislature who just can't pull their heads out of where they sit down.
They're little patooties. If you're watching me on camera, you see me doing this motion with my fingers. It's all about money. That's what I told Cam. I don't know where the money's coming from, but usually when it's political like this, it's all about the money. And meanwhile, the gun grabbers are sitting back on their hands laughing because they know it's not going to move. And yet again, they've been able to use a tragedy to advance a political agenda against the will of the majority of the people in the state of Florida. Wow.
Oh, and you nailed it. You nailed it. I mean, everybody I know wants open carry. Now, everybody I know probably won't carry openly, but we want that right. We want to be like the other states.
Yeah, what fascinates me is Florida, and I mentioned it today with Cam. I mean, Florida, all the legislators need to do, if you're a Florida legislator, listen, just simply look at your northern neighbor. Right across the border, just north of Tallahassee. It's been wildly successful. All of the problems you and the rest of the naysayers and doomsayers can concoct don't happen. And you can point to Georgia and start there, and then move up through the Carolinas and Alabama. Just go north of your border, and you'll see it's effective. So I don't know. It's got to, my guess, Lee, it's got to have something to do with tourism and dollars in Florida. It just has to. And I think that's where the money is.
That's a given, I'm pretty sure.
Where can people find all your really cool stuff, brother? Because you got some really cool stuff. We've got 30 seconds before music.
ArmedAmericanNews.org or thegunwriter.substack.com or saf.org. All the stories are on SAF, too.
And doing true investigative journalism, ladies and gentlemen. That's Lee the Gunwriter Williams. Nobody does it quite like you do, Lee. We appreciate it. I'm going to guess you have more on this Navy SEAL, do you not? You spoke to him in prison again last week.
We have more coming. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you staying on it, and I know a lot of people around the country do. So we're going to follow it with you, and at some point, we're going to try to put our collective heads together and see if we can't find a way to get this kid out somehow. I can sense that. Yeah, I can sense that happening. I don't know why. But this story, the ATF, so egregious, so wrong. I can see that coming. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, thanks for being here, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to leave you now. We'll be back on a Wednesday. It'll be Garbage Day at the Ranch. You know that. Every Wednesday, Garbage Day at the Ranch. We'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll Google gun control. That's always a good Garbage Day topic, right? Google gun control. I promise you there'll be a ton of stuff coming up, particularly after FSU. But until we meet tomorrow, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Enjoy your day. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for jumping in with us today. Appreciate it. Looks like we've gotten that malicious software taken care of. Facebook was back up running again today. We appreciate it. Please like and share all the posts. Follow us on social media, Twitter at AARMark, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio, YouTube Armed American Radio, Rumble Armed American Radio, all that fun stuff. When you see us on social media, please share us, post it, help us take back our social media platforms. They'd held us down for a lot of years. We're going the opposite direction now. Let's keep that momentum going. We need you guys to do it. And please visit all of our great partners that make it all possible every single day, armedamericanradio.com. If you're going to be at the NRA convention, I expect on being there Friday and Saturday. Look for me at the Patriot Mobile booth, Daniel Defense booth. You know who the partners are. Visit those booths. You'll find me or floating around there somewhere. I'll be towing along with Ryan Petty. We'll have some recording equipment with us. You never know. We might even mic you up if you're there. So we'll see you at NRA, and enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys.